against a brick wall when it comes to Pakistan and North Korea. The irony is Pakistan is an ally, in fact, a most favored non-NATO ally. It's been a Cold War partner, a recipient of billions of dollars in military and civilian aid, and the links between the Pakistani military intelligence establishment and the Pentagon are of long standing. While the two sides will still have use for each other, it appears now that the Pakistani army, the main arbiter of power in that country, has turned a corner with America, which is no longer the preferred partner. Take the most recent provocation. The Trump administration has proscribed Hizbul Mujahideen leader Sayyid Salahuddin, designating him a global terrorist and putting restrictions on his movements. The Pakistani Foreign Office has reacted sharply. It said, and I quote, "The joint statement is singularly unhelpful in achieving the objective of strategic stability and durable peace in the South Asian region. By failing to address key sources of tension and instability in the region, the statement aggravates an already tense situation." End quote. Earlier, others have been similarly proscribed, including Hafiz Saeed. On that note, let's turn our attention to Nadeem Hussain, who heads the South Asia Study Group at the University of Sydney. He's also been an advisor to the Pakistani government on security policy. Nadeem, if I can begin by asking you, how exactly does the Pakistani military establishment view the Trump administration at this point in time?
Well, initially, like almost any other country, Pakistan was still developing an opinion about the Trump administration because everything was very hazy, it was very vague. But after a couple of months after President Trump took the office, the initial perception was coming out to be very good because he was interested in talking about the Kashmir issue. He was interested in having a reliable solution about Afghanistan as well. But with the recent trip in Prime Minister Modi to Washington, D.C., I think that might be changing. So far, I think the perception is still being developed. It's too early to say anything about that.
All right, stay with me, Nadeem. In fact, just to give our viewers an idea of what exactly Nadeem's been writing about, he also believes that the US carries absolutely no credibility with Pakistan anymore and that it's no longer in position to influence the Pakistani establishment in any way. So does that make China the only relevant player in Islamabad? Well, in a recent article in the online magazine War on the Heroes, Hussain wrote that while the Pakistani military may be more concerned about threats posed by terror groups to its continued hold over the country, it also sees political parties, perhaps even the free media and judiciary, as other threats. Let's take that question across to Nadeem Hussain. Nadeem, if I can ask you to elaborate a little further on what exactly you mean when you say that China perhaps is the only relevant player in Islamabad. What exactly are you getting at when you say that?
I think there is no denial that China is the main actor in Rawalpindi right now. But to say that it is the only actor is far-stretched. Pakistan has very close relations with Saudi Arabia, growing relations with Saudi Arabia, and also with Turkey. I think in the future, as I would like to think so, Pakistan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and China would become a sort of nexus which will be playing a very big role in the region and globally as well.
Okay, but just to further contextualize it, it seems that you're saying that Pakistan sees political parties, perhaps even the free media and the judiciary as other threats. In other words, it will react strongly if its dominant position in Pakistan is undermined or sought to be undermined in any way. Its strategic anxiety, let's remind our viewers, is about the long-term institutional control over Pakistan. So let me go across to Nadeem on that point. Nadeem, where exactly in that case, I mean, we're sitting here in India and we'd like to know, where does India figure in this threat list? Is India still considered one of the biggest enemies?
Well, there is no simple solution for a 16-year-old war. If you look at the facts, we have to realize that currently Taliban controls almost 75 to 80% of Afghanistan, with major areas under their control. So that is one fact, that is one reality that we have to live with. Second, Pakistan is an important actor in the region. We also have to accept that. But I think the third fact, which is being understated and which is growing now, is the fact that China is becoming a major player in the region, specifically when it comes to negotiating between Pakistan and Afghanistan. And I think the only way that that we can actually have an Afghanistan peace process is by giving China a central role. I don't personally think that even in Afghanistan or in Pakistan, the US has any more credibility left. Partly because I think the US political system is so shaky that the back and forth movement on their foreign policies and the national security policies, with one president saying one thing and the next president completely overhauling the entire policy system, kind of sends out a message that the US is not serious about Afghanistan peace process. And I think it would also be wise for India, together with China and other countries, to think beyond the US when it comes to Afghanistan and Pakistan.
All right, Nadeem Hussain, thanks very much for joining us on the broadcast with your perspective. Let me also introduce our guests on this segment who are joining in right now. I've got from New Delhi joining us, Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain. He's the former GOC 15 and 21 Corps and Military Secretary for the Indian Army. He's now a public speaker, strategic analyst and an author. Good evening, General Hasnain. Thanks for joining us on the broadcast. I'm also joined by Vishnu Prakash, the former High Commissioner of India to Canada, Ambassador to Seoul, and also formerly official spokesperson of the MEA. Thank you both for joining me on the discussion. General Hasnain, if I can come across to you first, what do you make of some of the contentions or let's say some of the things that Hussain just told us, Nadeem Hussain just told us? Do you think that the United States has hit a wall when it comes to Pakistan, and could that be in a, put India in a beneficial position, or does it sort of put us on the back foot? General Hasnain, that question was for you, sir. All right, we'll try and get back to General Hasnain. We seem to be having a bit of an issue with his audio, but in the meantime, if I can go across to Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, who's also on the broadcast. Ambassador Prakash, if I can take that same question across to you, do you think going by the turn of events and let's say even China's belligerence, which we're going to talk about in a bit, that has the United States in some ways reached a brick wall when it comes to dealing with Pakistan?
Well, USA has always faced difficulty dealing with Pakistan. Pakistan has perfected the art of running with the hare and hunting with the hound. And Pakistan duplicity is very well known. There has been a lubricant in the sense that, according to some estimates, USA has already given grants and assistance worth $30 billion to Pakistan over the years to ensure good behavior, but which has not been forthcoming. And certainly there is infrastructure of terror that obtains in Pakistan. Now, what is the irony is that it is the American men and women, the American blood that is being spilled in Afghanistan, thanks to Pakistan's duplicity. So there is a catch-22. USA knows that Pakistan is the duplicitous partner or a friend, but finds it difficult to rein in Pakistan. And they are trying the carrot, they are trying the stick, yet it is difficult unless they decide to frontally challenge Pakistan and call it into account, which seems to be difficult, but maybe they'll have no other choice but to do that.
But has the regime change in the United States under Donald Trump perhaps simplified the process a bit or made it worse, in your opinion, Ambassador?
Well, I think that the Trump administration has sent a message to Pakistan that it may not be business as usual. Now, question is whether the message can be translated. Can they walk the talk? There I have my doubts. There are various reasons for that. One is that the Afghanistan supply lines for the American troops and for USA through Pakistan. and the alternate supply lines are going to be very, very cumbersome and expensive.
Okay.
That is one of the reasons. And still, other reasons are that Pakistan is a major country. They can create more trouble. They after all, support and give safe havens to Taliban fighters. So Pakistan's ability or propensity to create mischief in Afghanistan is legendary, and that is another constraint. So I think somewhere along the line, the Trump administration or the US administration would have to take a decision how far to mollycoddle Pakistan, how far to continue giving them assistance, financial assistance, and looking at the other side, turning a Nelson's eye to Pakistan's duplicity. And whether it will happen tomorrow, I'm no longer sure.
All right, General Hasnain is back with us on the broadcast. Good evening, General. We're talking about, if the United States has reached a brick wall when it comes to Pakistan. And I want to ask you, how does this complicate the situation for India? Is it the right time then for India to be reaching out to the United States? Or in fact, is this the perfect time for India to actually, handhold with China that seems to have a certain amount of sway over Pakistan?
You see, firstly, I think the entire talks between India and the United States, the summit between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, went off on a very positive note, much more than what we had actually expected. And as far as Pakistan figuring in this entire summit, I think the positive note was established by the fact that a couple of hours before, the United States had declared Syed Salahuddin as a specially designated global terrorist. Whatever that may mean, it was a great kind of a message which went out to say that the United States was looking at things more seriously as far as Pakistan was concerned, as far as India's relations with Pakistan were concerned. What the United States has definitely been concerned about has been the increasing strategic confidence of Pakistan and its ability to go independent in its policy on Afghanistan, and the kind of support that it is getting internationally from China for all that it is doing in Afghanistan and elsewhere, particularly in Kashmir. So as far as India is concerned, I think this was the best time actually to engage with the United States. It is not as if the United States is going to change all policies overnight. It is absolutely correct to say the United States will be concerned about its own interests in Afghanistan, where Pakistan is a very important player. The fact that there is a lot of messaging going on is the important aspect. You are going to come up with a new policy, a new AFPAC policy, which is going to be announced by the Defense Secretary James Mattis sometime in mid-July or so. Also, there is a legislation which is underway in the US legislature on questioning the various aspects of actually certifying that Pakistan is working to the United States' interests.
But General Hasnain, allow me to come in.
So
you mentioned Salahuddin,
and I think India engaging with the United States is very appropriate.
Okay, but we've already had a rebuttal from Pakistan on the United States designating Salahuddin as a global terrorist. In fact, I'm going to quote the Pakistani Foreign Office. It said very categorically that the joint statement was singularly unhelpful in achieving the objective of strategic stability and durable peace in the South Asian region. I mean, Pakistan is snubbing its nose at, or thumbing its nose, if you will, at the United States, despite that strong statement from President Trump's administration. So has Pakistan not become a larger problem for the US, and doesn't India have to take cognizance of that?
You see, as far as the whole issue of Syed Salahuddin is concerned, I think the United States was very clear in its mind that it was sending a very strong message at the start of the summit. We are aware of the fact that the United States had declared Hafiz Saeed, also a global terrorist, put a $10 million bounty on his head way back 10 years ago. But nothing really has come out of it. So all this doesn't work out in black and white. It is strong messaging, as I said earlier. It is messaging to Pakistan that the United States does not support what it is doing in Kashmir. And the very fact that subsequently there was a call as a part of the joint statement, which said very clearly that Pakistan must desist from allowing its territory to be used for terrorist activities against other countries. I think this was the much stronger message which came out from the visit, much stronger than what came out from the Obama-Modi summit almost 2 years ago. So, as far as India is concerned, I think it is a strategic advantage that has been gained.
Okay.
I won't call it a victory. It's a strategic advantage which has been gained.
Okay, spoken like a true military man. Allow me to come in, General Hussain. We're running out of time, unfortunately, on this particular segment. But please stay with me, gentlemen. I've got to turn my attention also to the other wall that Washington is up against, and that is in North Korea.